Hey, welcome to your second test, the second test of the season. Hope you're enjoying this fine Monday. And I had a great weekend. And anyway, let's get into the test, shall we? Remember, this test is all Regents questions. And yeah, let's see. It says our first question. The graph below shows how the population growth rate of several species of fish is affected by temperature. And the x-axis is temperature, the y-axis is population growth rate. There's three fish: the rainbow trout, the yellow perch, and the largemouth bass. What is the most favorable temperature for the growth of the yellow perch population? Is it A, 10 degrees, B, 20 degrees, C, 30 degrees, or D, 15 degrees? Number two, the diagram below represents a series of events that occur within living organisms. Food, step one; amino acid, step two; cell structure X, step three; protein. The process that occurs in step one in this diagram is called A, digestion; B, circulation; three, excretion; D, respiration. Number three, graph below represents a rate of a chemical reaction involving a particular enzyme that breaks down starch. Okay, so here's the temperature on the x-axis and the rate of reaction on the y-axis. The most likely reason the action of the enzyme decreases after 40 degrees is that A, the shape of the enzyme changes due to its environmental conditions. B, as the temperature of the enzyme rises, the pH of the environment changes, deactivating the enzyme. C, enzymes die after working for a long period of constant activity within the body. Or D, the DNA in the enzyme mutates and can no longer break down the starch. Number four, an enzyme that rapidly breaks down a protein molecule in the stomach may break down that same protein molecule much more slowly in the small intestine or in the mouth because A, the enzyme is digested in those locations; B, the stomach may have a more suitable environment for the enzyme to work; C, the enzyme changes to fit different molecules in different locations; D, no protein molecules are located in the small intestine or the mouth. Number five, pepsin. Pepsin is a protein digesting enzyme. It is produced inside cells that line the stomach and then secreted into the stomach cavity where it begins to work. When first produced, the pepsin exists in an inactive form called pepsinogen. Pepsinogen cannot work because there's an extra segment that keeps it from interacting with proteins it would normally digest. When it's secreted into the stomach cavity, the acid there causes the pepsinogen molecule to lose this extra segment, which changes it into the active pepsin that can begin to digest food protein. Which of the following statements most accurately summarizes the function of pepsin? A, it regulates the transport of starch across the cell membrane. B, it prevents harmful substances from entering the stomach. C, it controls the rate at which certain chemical reactions occur. Or D, it prevents the production of harmful byproducts in the stomach cells. Number six, blood sugar levels increase after a meal and eventually return to more normal. This is represented in the diagram below. This constant correcting of blood sugar levels within the body is accomplished by A, an allergic reaction; B, manipulating a gene; C, an immune response; or D, a feedback mechanism. Number seven, most of the starch stored in the cells of a potato is composed of molecules that originally entered these cells as A, amino acids; B, minerals; C, enzymes; D, simple sugars. Number eight, which one of the following statements concerning proteins is not correct? Is not correct. A, proteins are long, usually folded chains. B, the shape of the protein molecule determines its function. C, proteins are bonded together, resulting in simple sugars. D, proteins can be broken down and used for energy. Number nine. Number nine. The diagram below represents the synthesis of a portion of a complex molecule in an organism. Here are the building blocks, and here's the product. Which row in the chart could be used to identify the building blocks and product in the diagram? Is it A, row 1, starch molecules, the product is glucose? Or is it B, row 2, amino acid molecules, and the product is protein? Or is it 3, the building blocks of sugar molecules, and the product is ATP? Or is it 4, the building blocks are DNA molecules, and the product is a part of starch? Number 10, the diagram below represents a sequence of events in a biological process that occurs within human cells. We've got the nucleus of the cell, molecule A, and the ribosome. And ribosome makes molecule B, which is a receptor molecule C, which is an enzyme, and molecule D, which is a hormone. According to the diagram, molecules B, C, and D are all similar in that they are usually A, involved in the diffusion of oxygen into the cell, B, composed of amino acids, C, involved in the synthesis of antibiotics, or D, composed of genetic information. The diagram below, number 11, the diagram below represents a process that occurs in organisms. We've got A broken down to B. Which row in the chart indicates what letters A and B could represent? Is it A, starch and proteins? Is it B, starch and amino acids? Is it C, protein and amino acid? Or is it D, protein and simple sugar? Number 12. Got nutrients include protein and carbohydrates. They're each digested. Proteins are digested to substance A, and carbs are digested to substance B. In a heterotrophic organism, substance A in this diagram could be used directly for A, a building block of starch, B, photosynthesis, C, a genetic code, or D, the synthesis of enzymes. "13. All cells of an organism are engaged in many different chemical reactions. This fact is best supported by the presence in each cell of thousands of different kinds of blank. Is it A, organelles, B, enzymes, C, nuclei, D, chloroplasts? Number 14. Experiments reveal the following information about a certain molecule. It can be broken down into amino acids. It can break proteins into amino acids. It is found in high concentrations in the small intestine of humans. This molecule is most likely an antigen, B, a hormone, C, an enzyme, or D, an inorganic compound. Number 15. Enzyme molecules normally interact with substrate molecules. Some medicines work by blocking enzyme activity in pathogens. These medicines are effective because they, A, have a shape that fits into the enzyme, B, have a shape that fits into all cell receptors, C, are the same size as the substrate molecules, or D, are the same size as the enzyme. Number 16. The diagram below represents a chemical reaction that occurs within the human body. Which of the following statements describes the characteristic of molecule Z in this given diagram? Excuse me. Is it A, molecule Z will function at any temperature above 20? B, molecule Z is not specific, so this reaction can be controlled by any other chemical in the body. Is it C, molecule Z is composed of a string of molecular bases represented by the letters A, T, G, and C? Or is it D, molecule Z will function at best at a specific pH? Number 17. The diagram below represents the stages in the digestion of a starch. The structure labeled X in this diagram most likely represents A, an enzyme, B, a receptor molecule, C, an antibody, or D, a hormone. Pretty good. We're like a little bit more than halfway through the test. Feeling pretty good? You guys look good. Hopefully you're answering well and you're feeling good. All right, let's continue with question 18. 18. Which row in the chart below contains correct information concerning synthesis? Is it row A, row 1, Glucose molecules are the building blocks. Synthesized using the building blocks are DNA. Is it row 2? The answer choice B. Simple sugars are used to synthesize protein. Is it row 3? Amino acids are used to synthesize enzyme. Or is it D, row 4? Molecular bases are used to synthesize starch. Number 19. The graph below shows the effect of temperature on the relative rate of action of enzyme X on a protein. Temperature, this is the x-axis. Y-axis is the rate of action. Which change would not affect the rate of action of enzyme X? Is it A, a decrease in temperature from 40 to 10 degrees? B, the removal of the protein when the reaction is at 30 degrees? C, the addition of cold water when the reaction is at 50 degrees? Or D, an increase of temperature from 70 to 80 degrees? Number 20. The sweet taste of freshly picked corn is due to the high sugar content in its kernels. Enzyme action converts about 50% of the sugar to starch within 1 day after picking. To preserve its sweetness, freshly picked corn is immersed in boiling water for a few minutes and then cooled. Which of the following statements most likely explains why the boiled kernels remain sweet? Is it A, boiling activates the enzyme that converts amino acids into sugar? B, boiling destroys sugar molecules so they cannot be converted to starch? Is it C, boiling kills a fungus on the corn that is needed to convert sugar to starch? Or is it D, boiling deactivates the enzyme responsible for converting sugar into starch? Number 21, meat tenderizer contains an enzyme that interacts with meat. If meat is coated with a tenderizer and then placed in a refrigerator for a short time, how would the enzyme be affected? Would it A, its activity slow down? B, its shape would change? C, it would no longer act as an enzyme? Or D, it would be broken down? Number 22. Which of the following conditions is necessary for enzymes and hormones to function properly within the human body? Is it A, these chemicals must have a specific shape? Is it B, the body pH must be above 10? Is it C, these chemicals must be able to replicate? Or is it D, the body temperature must be above 40 degrees? #23. Feedback interactions in the human body are important because they A, regulate the shape of molecules involved in cellular communication. B, keep the internal body environment within its normal range. C, determine the diversity necessary for evolution to occur. Or D, direct the synthesis of altered genes that are passed on to every cell in the body. Number 24. The ability of the human body to keep blood sugar levels within a fairly narrow range, despite the intake of meals high in carbohydrates, is an example of A, digestion, B, homeostasis, C, active transport, or D, genetic recombination. #25. Here's a diagram. X, insulin, decreased blood glucose, X, insulin. All right. The dashed line in the given diagram represents A, cellular differentiation, B, recycling of organic chemicals, C, a feedback mechanism, or D, a digestive process. #26. Which of the following substances is an inorganic molecule? Is it A, starch, B, DNA, C, water, or D, fat? #27. The shape of a protein molecule directly determines its A, movements through the cytoplasm, B, circulation through the body, C, functions inside and outside of cells, or D, roles in building water molecules. #28. The diagram below represents a protein molecule present in some living things. This type of molecule is composed of a sequence of A, simple sugars alternating with starches arranged in a folding pattern, B, amino acids arranged in a specific order, C, large inorganic subunits that form chains that interlock with each other, Or D, 4 bases to make up the folded structure? Number 29, in order to enter cells and then be useful to the body, starch must be A, broken down into fats and water, B, digested into simple sugars, C, absorbed through the skin, D, converted to carbon dioxide and ATP. Number 30, 3 days after an organism eats some meat, many of the organic molecules originally contained in the meat would be found in newly formed molecules of blank. Newly formed molecules of A, oxygen, B, glucose, C, starch, D, protein. "31. An energy-rich organic compound needed by organisms is A, glucose, B, oxygen, C, salt, D, water." Number 32. The diagram below represents a portion of a starch molecule. The building blocks for the molecules shown are A, amino acids, B, molecular bases, C, fats, or D, simple sugars. And finally, question 33, the last question on the test. You've done a great job so far. The diagram below represents a metabolic process. Blank plus blank plus blank plus blank, X makes starch. The letter X in the process represents A, a hormone, a receptor, an enzyme, or an antibody. Good deal, and that's the test. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did giving it to you. Get a flavor for some Regents-style questions that have to do with enzymes and biomolecules and the things that we've been studying. Anyway, you can go back and retake the test as many times as you feel necessary till you get the grade that you like for yourself. Please do. Over and out.